So here we are, cash flow crunch for November already. I'm really excited about tonight's cash flow crunch because Jeffy is presenting. Yay! We're all so excited. So Jeff found this amazing property, and we've been talking about it, and we got it under contract. Well, he's got it under contract, and he has just like dove in, and we gave him the mobile home park books with the 30 days of due diligence, and I basically handed it to him and said, here's your checklist, this is it. Just gotta literally start on day one and start doing the work. And he did, and he's just really dove in. I feel so proud.
Was located. Salmo is considered the hub of the Kootenays because it's equidistant to Nelson, Trail, and Castlegar. So it's a 30-minute drive to all of these centers. Trail is a big industrial center. Castlegar is university and also industry, and Nelson is tourism. The whole region is populated with incredible provincial and national parks, so many recreation opportunities like biking and hiking and camping and skiing. It's just, there's just so much to do there. And Salmo is this incredible sort of centralized hub in the middle of all of this. It's also 20 minutes to the US border and 3 hours to Spokane, Washington, which has a population of 240,000, which is quite significant to us because of the value of the dollar. That you know, a $65 hotel room or motel room is going to be like $40. And an RV site is going to be pennies, you know, from an American perspective. And Salmo is on the Salmo River in the Salmo Valley. It's extremely picturesque. It gets a lot of snow in the winter, and it's very hot in the summer. So it's a beautiful contrast of seasons and recreation opportunities.
And it's also mostly Albertans as well, right? In terms of
that's right.
Portion of the tourists are from Alberta.
About 60% of the tourists are from Alberta, and about 38% are from the rest of BC. And that route that you can see, it's on Highway 3, and that route is considered the southern route to Alberta. So a lot of tourism runs through Creston and then up into the central part of the Kootenay region.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful area, like Ainsworth Hot Springs, the Purcells. I mean, when I was working on the Rocky Mountaineer and for Scenic, we did this tour. So we did the tour all the way from Whistler and Vancouver, depending on where we started, through to, you know, across the Rockies, through this area and over to the other side to Banff and Jasper. And then there's a couple of US tours that start in Washington and go Washington, Idaho, Montana, and then up through this area. So there's some great circle tours. So yeah, it's a gorgeous spot. Like
it's part of this, it's called the Selkirk Loop, and it's promoted on both sides of the border, and Salmo runs right through it. So if you want to advance there, Liza. So this is the town of Salmo, and it's in a fairly flat valley. In fact, it's extremely flat because it's you know, traditionally a floodplain, but it doesn't flood. I mean, unless you're right next to the river, but that's like a once every 200-year event. So I've already talked to the regional district about floodplain risk, and they say there's very little, and that it doesn't really affect insurance. And go ahead. This is another view. You can see the Salmo River running through the valley. And again, the whole area is populated with hiking trails and camping and all sorts of other recreation. That's the Salmo River. It's very beautiful. It's quite shallow, so it's warm. A lot of people use it for tubing. And it's very family friendly because it never gets turbulent.
And where is it in relation to the park, Jeff?
The park, the motel. It's the Salmo River is probably 4 or 5 kilometers. We're about like an 8-minute drive to the center of Salmo town. This is the Salmo River during Shambhala Music Festival, and Shambhala is this psychedelic, like world famous event that is situated 12 minutes from the Selkirk Motel and RV Park. And just before COVID, they had 17,000 people over 10 days, and they took 2 years off. And then this was their first year back, and they had 10,000 people, and they expected just to keep growing from there. So this is one of the central events that draw tourists to Salmo specifically.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, like the Shambhala Festival is respected worldwide, right? Like it was one of the first festivals of its kind, and it's been going for, do you remember how many years it's been going for, Jeff?
I think it's about like 10 to 15 years. It's a local family that owns the land, and they have actually developed a camping site that accommodates a lot of these people, but not all of them.
Yeah, and I know quite a few people who have gone to it, and they've all said that of, you know, festivals around the world, it's comparable to this type of festival in a global setting. So it's really cool that it's right in the backyard there.
Yeah, and you can see in the next slide that it's you know, that they go all out. You know, it's laser beams and mist machines and
psychedelics, man.
and it's a no alcohol event, which is quite interesting.
Because everybody's on mushrooms.
Everybody's, yeah, they're on something. And this is the site from the air. So you can see how vast this operation is. And it is only you know, and this is part of the whole sort of marketing strategy in terms of keeping the Motel and RV park populated, but it's not just that 10 days. There are also hundreds of people that support this event, and they start early and they end late. So there's going to be months of staff months of the summer where staff will require accommodation. So there are a number of ski hills. The closest one is 12 minutes to the Selkirk Motel and RV Park. This is the Salmo Community Ski Hill. It's small, but it has a diamond run, and it's famous for its night skiing. And that's a picture of the illuminated hill. And then the next, this is Whitewater. Whitewater is closer to Nelson. It's also 30 minutes from Salmo, and it's a big operation. And one of the things I've seen, because I'm part of a Facebook group, this is also Whitewater, as I was looking for accommodation in Nelson, and there are, I don't know, 10s, 20s of people who are desperately looking for accommodation, and they work from November until April, and they can't find anything. People are sleeping on couches, people are sleeping in vans, and this is something else that I think will be part of our marketing strategy, is developing a relationship with Whitewater Resort to help meet their staffing accommodation needs. And then the next image is a third ski hill, and this is Red Mountain in Rossland. It's 40 minutes, and this is it's not like Whistler, but it's a pretty significant tourism operation, bigger than Whitewater and definitely bigger than the Salmo Hill. And that's another image from the top of Red Mountain. So this is just really to show that there's a lot of established tourism operations. So the general description of this opportunity is that there are 4 titles. So there's 4 lots adjacent to each other, making up 4.12 acres. There's an 11-unit motel, 18 RV sites, plus some additional lesser serviced sites, which we can talk about later. There's a mobile home for the manager's residence and an attached office. The water's on what is a well. They have a septic tank for the with individual hookups for the RV sites, and a septic field for the motel and the mobile home, and it's all electric heat.
And I know you're probably going to mention this, but there is room to grow, so we'll get into that in a minute.
So we'll get into that now. So
Okay.
so those are the 4 lots on the left. We're adjacent to Erie Creek, which is a beautiful rushing river on its own, and we're literally just across the road from it. You can see on the right-hand side where I've outlined the 4 lots, and the motel and RV park are in the left half, and the right half is undeveloped. And there are some Along that tree line, there are additional sites on top of the 18 RV sites. There are some additional sites that just have water, but they said that it would be excellent for camping. So that hasn't even been taken into account. And then that 1 acre on the far right is all woods. So that could be, reserved as an, ecological asset. It could be used for timber. It could be used to create a forested campsite. There's just a lot of potential. There's no zoning, so that's also good. So the buildings, so I said it's 11-unit motel, wood frame, built in 1958. There are 4 kitchenette units and 7 standard units. Currently promoted as smoking and non-smoking units and pet friendly. There's a laundry. The laundry is not available currently to guests, but there's a laundry on site for maintaining the rooms. The 18 RV sites are drive-through, so that's really significant. That is just super easy for people that have been on the road all day. They have power, water, and septic. There's high-speed internet and wireless over the entire site. And then there's the mobile home as a manager's residence, which is 2 bedrooms and 964 square feet.
Awesome.
So this is the motel. It requires a little bit of paint. I've looked at the Yelp reviews and TripAdvisor reviews, and they're generally good. There's a few. Hospitality and price were the highest sort of rated criteria, but they're quite simple rooms, and they have definitely been decorated by an 80-year-old man. So this is the little office that's attached to the mobile home, and this is the other thing I hadn't mentioned, is the intention is that I would manage this. So I would move up there, move into the mobile home, and get this stabilized and and then start building on the marketing plan through the winter months. Possession would be February 6th. And so even though there would be business during that period, it would be a nice slow time to get the marketing ramped up for the spring and summer. See inside of the office.
Here's your future office, Jeffy.
Oh my God. Yeah, the mobile home's not a lot to look at, but it's been fairly well maintained. There's a few issues that have been highlighted. So, but we'll do a thorough inspection and just see what its actual status is.
We have people on our team who know how to renovate mobile homes. So there you go.
Do. A couple of images from inside one of the units, little kitchenette. Again, it's very basic, but there's a lot of potential, and we've already talked about how we would like to renovate the interiors, and not necessarily a full renovation, at least in the full year, but definitely redecorating and maybe rebranding. There's certainly legacy traffic that comes, of the 18 sites, there are currently 8 RVs on site. And the guy is not marketing at all. So there's certainly people that use this facility just because they've been doing it for a long time, and the price is so right. I mean, right now the rooms are like $55 a night, and the RV sites I think are $18 fully serviced. So it's a super incredible deal for travelers.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things that we talk about as well is, remember, when you're buying something like this, you're buying it for the cash flow. You're not looking at the sexy, you're looking at the dollar signs. So if anybody's seen any of the makeover shows on Netflix or any of the other streaming platforms or on HDTV, I mean, there's a number of them now that do hotel makeovers, and they take little dumpy places like this and they turn them into $300-400 a night hotels. So it doesn't have to be what we do with this place, because it might not be the right market for that, but it's very easy to take out a couple of ugly countertops and put in a nice live edge countertop and really simple facilities, and clean up the old granny duvets and comforters and yeah, just very simple to turn something like this completely around and make it look nice and fresh and clean and just more modern, just modernize it. And the fact that there's Jeff, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but there's already 2 tenants in these places paying what, $11 and $1,200 a month.
Yes. They've
So-
been there for one's been there for a year and others been there for 3 years. It shows up in our cash flow projections, but you know, and so there's a lot of opportunity either to potentially make these as long-term rentals and really focus on the RV park, or to, you know, keep those 2 tenants, which are bringing in, you know, a healthy money per month, and then use the other 9 units as nightly rentals. Okay. So a few images of the RV park, as I said, is 18 fully serviced sites, drive-through, some mature trees. There's a washroom, a washroom building with a shower and toilets and sink for the RV specifically. And there's a barbecue site, and this is not considered a destination operation. So people aren't coming here for playgrounds and that sort of thing. And a lot of people are stopping overnight. But I really think we need to focus, and they don't really do this on their current website, is focus on all the recreation opportunities. Like, come here, set up for the summer, and take advantage of everything that's in the Kootenays.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's going back to the mom and pop and the fact that they're 80 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so typical. I mean, when Joan and I were looking at parks in the US, I mean, we met with so many people who were, you know, let's just even say over 60, who weren't necessarily doing as much marketing that they could have been doing. And this is, you know, I'm going to say it, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's in a beautiful location. And the fact that the sites are drive-through sites, and I mean, it's what, November, and there's still 8 RVs up there without even any marketing. So yeah. Good, great from that perspective. And I think that's the last slide for this one, Jeff.
Okay.
So I'll just stop sharing for a second.
Sure. So if you wanted to pull up the spreadsheet, we could take a look at, you know, what kind of revenue potential we see. I've had a few different eyes on the sheet, and I've been supportive of the assumptions we've made.
Cool. And so yeah, so Jeff did a great job on this. And you know, again, one of the reasons why I wanted us to take a look at this on a cash flow crunch is this kind of sheet works for any kind of business, whether it's real estate or any business, because these are the cash flow projections. So this is the first year 1 cash flow projection. So no matter what you're selling, you can put your anticipated monthly revenue in here, whether it's widgets or RV spots or candy bars or whatever. And then it goes down, and then you get into all of the details of your standard costs. And so there are a couple of little anomalies that we put in here just for our purposes, so that everybody can see it. Usually we wouldn't put the mortgage payments in, it would be reflected differently, but we've done it a couple of times this way, just so you can show all of the money coming out on one sheet. And then there's also the ROI pro forma that we did as well. But this is just such a good way to really work through your business and look at the seasonality, look at the different units, look at, you know, you can't just sort of put it in the numbers and have them all the same. And especially if you're applying for a loan, which we know tourism, there's lots of money to support tourism growth right now. There's new small business loans, and there are small business loans that are supporting the purchase of land and motels. So we're actually considering applying for one of those loans, because lo and behold, if you get one, then it's easy to get more. And that just makes this whole thing even more appealing. So Jeff's, again, he's done a great job, and he's made tons of assumptions and explained them clearly, and just done a great job. So do you want to walk us through some of the highlights on this, Jeffy?
Sure. And if you could just scroll down one row, I just want, just so that we know what direction we're going, you can see the total cash inflows by month. And you know where to stop. Just right there, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
So you can see June, July, and August, the kind of potential revenue that we're looking at. And It's ambitious, but it's not. You know, it's ambitious in terms of the history of the Selkirk Motel, but I think it's practical. It's slightly conservative considering the team that we would be bringing to this and the way that we would want to grow this as a business. So, you know, these numbers comprise not only the rents per month, but also some of the other revenue streams, including a tuck shop, firewood sales, laundry revenue. So if you could scroll back to the top. As we mentioned, there are two kitchen units that are currently rented long-term. One is bringing in $1,100 a month and $1,200 a month. They're apparently the people there are very reliable and have good jobs. So we've been given the option to evict them. We have until November 28th, the day when subjects are removed, to make that decision so that they have 2 months notice. But you know, right now I don't think there's any reason to, but we'll see. Then there are 2 and potentially 3 kitchenettes. There's some conflicting information in the realtor's package. So, and I made price assumptions that the kitchenettes will be, you know, at least $10 more per night. So these revenue calculations per month are based on, you know, taking possession in February. They're quite conservative because right now the RV sites are not winterized. And I've been talking to Stefan about what the technical solutions are to that so that people could actually hook up. And that's fairly simple. And we've priced that renovation into this spreadsheet. I also talked to a mortgage broker a commercial mortgage broker who specializes in RV parks, who's invested himself in RV parks and owned one. He looked at the property and he felt like this was a really good opportunity. And of course, that's all caveats are related to the inspection. He thought that we should be sort of targeting around $25,000 a month during high season, and we're kind of in that range. And I think we can go a little even higher. And then the units 5 to 11 are the standard units. So there's a slightly smaller nightly rental. And so, you know, as you can see, as we move into shoulder season, into high season, we're increasing decreasing the vacancy rate. You can say during high season, we're assuming 90%. And then when we get into October, November, December, if we follow the strategy that I've mentioned, which is to make relationships with Whitewater, then I think that we could keep that vacancy rate as we get into the winter months high as well. So those first couple of months while we're getting stable are on the lower end, but as we move through the summer, it goes way up and then it goes back up again in